Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here, Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, we need to get up a little bit closer to the mics because we're in a new place and it's a little bit echoey.
It's very
Echo.
So, good morning, everyone.
Yeah,
Friday, right?
It is Friday.
Got to make sure I keep up with the days.
Yeah,
we've got a fun guest today.
We're still kind of waiting.
Yeah,
to see,
she hadn't made it into the broadcast yet. So
I didn't wear green. Emily didn't wear green. And also congrats to you.
Yeah, congratulations, Emily. We know that's public out there. And
yeah.
It's Facebook public now. So
so it's real.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's not real.
But yeah, congratulations. Yeah. That's big news.
So Friday, it's a big day for us because we go get our a moving truck, and we've had stuff in storage here for a few years. After we left. And so it's going to be like Christmas because we're going to bring everything here and I'm going to go, oh, I forgot we had that. Yeah. So it'll be fun.
We have stuff in storage units that are 2,000 miles apart. So now we got to figure out, we still have a bunch of belongings in Florida. So just, life of a gypsy. That's just
life
the way
of a
it goes.
gypsy. Yeah. Absolutely. So a couple of announcements. Yeah. We next Monday, or on Monday, not next Monday, but Monday, we're going to be doing another one of our dealer profiles.
Dealer stories.
So dealer stories.
So confidential dealer stories. We changed the names to protect the innocent. And we'll go back to that on Monday. And then Wednesday, I'm going to tell the full story.
Thing.
Yeah, we'll tell the full story of Grandpa Pablo and how he ties into the white hat story.
So cool.
He's long since passed, but he lived to be 94 years old and was the epitome of the gentleman cowboy. So I look
the white hat way. Yeah.
Telling that story.
And I have my double solo cup. It's got coffee in it. So it is Friday. Yeah. But it's not that Friday.
Yeah. We haven't unpacked the coffee.
Yeah. So it's it's too hot. Yeah. If it's just a single. So I doubled it up.
Yeah.
And then also next Friday, a week from today, Chuck Bonanno, who is the new executive director of Florida Independent Dealers, Automobile Dealers Association.
Looking forward to having him back in.
Yes, we are so happy about that. And I see that Karen Miss Karen just got here.
Stand by, Karen. We'll bring you in shortly.
What else do we have? Oh, the event is less than 2 weeks away. And so we do have a code for those of you who want to be able to attend. It's Morning Show 100, and that's $100 off the ticket price to come do that all day long event. Now, I know we've talked about it before. It is going to be a lot of really great information, jam-packed with information. We know that a lot of you don't have time to be there all day. Yep. So part of that ticket is the recordings as well. So you can consume that at your own pace, whatever it is that you've missed, or if you want to review something that you saw, that you'll have that opportunity to do that.
So all the experts are going to be there.
We've got 25 plus people that are well-known in the industry, and some that we're bringing in that are not well known in the industry, but are experts in business valuation and some of the things that just the general in the general business world, things that are looked at, and then we'll be drawing some parallels from that.
Yeah. So they say you should surround yourself with people that smarter than you are, and so I think March 30th, we're definitely going to do that. We're going to bring in tons of smart people and get answers to some of the tough questions around how to make our business more sustainable.
And we've been really, really grateful and just honored with the yeses. Yeah. That have come. Would you join us? Yes. Yep. Would you join us? Yes. Would you join us? Yes. Yeah. So just really, really grateful. It does feel super good.
It helps us to help dealers.
It does. Yeah. And so that will be, we'll I'm not going to start announcing anything for the next one, but yeah, 'cause it's like I got to get past this one, and then we'll have some other things that'll be happening this year as well.
Yep.
So,
and I know a lot of you folks haven't registered. We're going to be running you down, text messages and emails. We're going to make sure you get in there. You're going to want to be there.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Anything else before
No, I
we?
think
All
that's
right.
it. Let's bring Miss Karen
Dun,
in.
dun, dun, dun.
There she is.
Morning, Miss Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Good morning.
Morning.
I can't believe you're not wearing green.
Right. I just totally. I know.
We spaced
I'm
on
sorry.
that.
You can pinch us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virtual pinch. Yeah. So this morning, because it's a new house, and it's a new house, and we're finding the nuances that just took us a little time this morning. So we weren't thinking about St. Patty's Day.
We
So
were not.
I am so sorry. Virtual pinchings may proceed.
Yeah,
And-
for sure.
I remember
You're
that as a
forgiven.
kid.
My first t-shirt choice was bright green, and I was like, oh, this is good, but it had a big margarita glass on it. So I thought, well, maybe not
It's
that
not
one.
bad.
I thought you were going to say Margaret stain on it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe too.
yeah.
So we're not in green, but it looks like you are, and you're all ready for the day. Do adults pinch? We don't do that anymore. We just mock, right?
Yeah.
We just mock.
Not in today's world. Probably not.
Right. True. It's like no mocking. We just we just notice.
Right.
How about that? It's like, yeah.
So welcome to the show, Karen. Your first appearance with us. I feel like you're
So
another one of
much.
those that people should know. I find myself saying this about like Amanda and Hugo. Like, if you don't know Amanda and Hugo, like, where have you been? And the same thing with you. I think when I think about especially social media, like, you're very active and out there, and you've been around the industry a good while, so folks should know you. So you want to take a minute to kind of run us through your career background?
Sure. I was actually even surprised by this, because I haven't done this exercise in a while of looking back in the years. So I started in the financial services in the early 90s. So all of the 90s was with, it started with Chrysler First Financial. So back then it was commercial credit, Avco, beneficial, definitely dating myself with that. But that's how I entered the financial services space. And back then it was learning about collections, risk assessment, lending. So all of those things that I didn't know would be useful much later in life when I entered the buy here, pay here side. So I've been in the buy here, pay here capital side for the last 9 years, just talking to dealers all over the country on where they are or where they're looking to go, and talking about their capital needs and staying with them. If they may not be at a point yet, but trying to stay with them to help them grow and look for the future. And I've got to tell you, my head just nods. It just physically nods when I watch your show and I hear you talk about things like treating the customer well, maybe it's not aggressive growth, keeping your ego in check. All of those things I have heard and unfortunately seen how things can go bad when those are out of whack. So I know I've told you both before, but I'm a huge fan. And for anybody out there, this is a great show, good advice, and you're spot on.
Thank you for that.
You.
Thank you. We've learned a few things, and I always say, I've kind of come to trust my experience in what we do. So, it's just part of it. What's up?
You're like super echoey because you're not like in
You think that's going to help if I get over here closer?
We got down to one microphone.
Oh, you got one microphone?
Yeah, we're just having terrible echo
Did
problem.
you,
on our side.
Michelle, you did see your squirrel on my video, right?
I did. I was
funny.
waiting for the appropriate time.
That's so funny.
Those of you who are not a part of the BHPH boardroom, Karen has been the special guest for this
Wisdom
Wisdom Wednesday. Is it for the entire month? We have a couple more.
Yeah.
And so Karen's been doing the Wisdom Wednesday, and the Wisdom Wednesday is, I really love how you did it, Karen, because
Thank
you
you.
did the audio recording
Animation.
and
Yeah.
sent it, and has a cartoon character that is like, and then there's this, and then there's this.
Fun.
It really is. It makes it fun to watch and to
Thank
listen
you.
to. And Karen sent me a message uh, day before yesterday, and
Mhm.
before it went live,
Yeah.
right? No, like 3 days ago, whatever. And said, "Hey, listen to it," because I mentioned you, and so I listened to it yesterday, and yeah, so she, it was like, "Be friendly," kind of like Michelle Rhoads, squirrel,
Yeah.
and I was like,
That was funny.
"Yeah." It's not a possum. It
She
was a
is
squirrel,
friendly.
right?
Definitely.
Thank
And
you.
so and I would say in
Mhm.
the industry right now, if I had to cast a vote, you would be my vote for Miss Buy Here, Pay Here congeniality.
Yeah,
So that would be
Oh,
you.
or
Yeah.
Queen of
thank you.
Capital.
Queen of Capital is good too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. We work an awful lot with Karen, with some of the people that we are bringing in. I'm going to have you move your mic in because this is
Okay.
just driving me nuts.
We'll try it.
So yeah, hopefully next time on Monday that we'll be in an actual office instead of our massive kitchen.
Yeah.
So we've worked with Karen with a few of the people that we have been engaged to help get into the business, because one of the things that Karen's company does is like capital early. They can help you with that in a lot of cases, and so
Yeah, and it's a
yeah.
changing environment, obviously, Karen. We've seen obviously cost of cars jumped sharply in the last few years, and so that's obviously
Yeah.
affecting capital demand. And we're also seeing a number of people entering the space who are brand new.
Mhm.
And so that obviously is something I want to drill down to on the capital side, because when they're brand spanking new, there are some limitations, and you and I work through that with some dealers routinely. And so we want to talk about that. And I can tell you, we meet dealers, for example, we meet dealers who have never heard the name Ken Shilson.
Right.
And I say, well, why don't
The
you find
Godfather.
comfortable? Yeah. Let me catch you up on what we've learned in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like there's a ton of stuff that if people are out there just kind of figuring it out on their own, I'm thinking, there's a ton of resources and a ton of places to get good information about how to maybe mitigate some risk in this business. So I'm curious to know what you see out there when you're meeting these people that are brand new. Let's talk first about the people that are just brand new, barely got, sold their first 5 cars or whatever. What are the limitations that you see for them? Like, what do you feel like they need to learn, and what would be a path to capital for those folks?
Oh, wow. So let me think about a couple real life examples. So,
And I can help you out.
if for one thing, we could take somebody with a big resource of capital, and let's say they don't have that need, but they're going to need to, especially if they're going to need to get with the right dealer management software. They're going to need to make sure they're compliant in what they're doing, especially in collecting and communications with customers. Those things, it's really critical that you don't mess up on some of those things. So I've talked to people that don't have a dealer management software yet. So that's really, really beginning. And I'm not at a point where we can start helping with capital at that point, but I can certainly say, hey, look, please look into your state association. There's so much good resources there. Now we have the Jim and Michelle Morning Show. So there's just so many much resources that I'd say, hey, let's take a look at now, and then 6 months from now, and then a year from now. Jim, am I squirreling too much on that? Because I know early stages could be different for so many people.
I'm mostly thinking about the people who are going to need capital help. Like, how do I get to a place if I'm a brand new dealer and I've, got a small amount of my own money and I funded my first handful of contracts? Like, what do I need? Like, what's the checklist of things that I really need to do to get myself to a place where I can source some capital. So I might kind of throw a couple things out there, because I know that Karen has worked in recent years for a company called SDA. They're based out of Georgia, right? And that's Small Dealers Assistance is the name of the company. Is that right?
Right. Correct. SDA.
So yeah. So with SDA, I know that among the things that we've seen, and this is not just true of SDA, there are some other providers kind of in that segment, but I would just say that one of the things we've seen is that when you're brand new, you're either going to source capital where the funding provider does the collections, or the dealer does the collections. Like, that's one of the big differentiators early, right?
Right.
And so I know with your company, you don't do any collecting. You only fund dealers who will do their own collecting.
Right. And good point to that, because not only do I not do any collecting, there's no communication between myself and the buy here, pay here consumer. So in that way, it's really not a good fit for for somebody that hasn't already funded a good 15, 20 loans, has some experience collecting. We can see that it's working for them, and maybe their past experience, this is a common one, could be that they owned a shop and then they had started buying cars wholesale, and then they said, hey, I'm going to finance a few. And then now they're at a point and they're like, hey, this is kind of working out pretty well, but I can see that it's really capital intensive. So getting a comfort level with that person is a little easier when they have that experience in already doing appropriate contracts, legal contracts, and collecting them back. So that's where SDA comes in there, and we can graduate to different needs. I think lenders with the ability to collect can probably get in there earlier, because they have ultimately a whole lot more control and comfort level in they're talking to the customer. They know they have a live customer. They know real quickly if things are not going to go well. And to a capital provider, really, ultimately, it's, how are things going when they're good, but how are things going when, let's say, sales drop off? Are you able to have the capital there to maybe you have an account to buy back? Are you able to withstand the small bumps in the roads?
I know what one of the things, I mean, we know that everyone has their own business model. And so some people, some of the dealers that we've worked with would prefer to not collect.
Yep.
And I know for what the underlying principles that we teach is, it's really important to have a good relationship with the customer. And so that's why we really encourage dealers to do their own collecting. And, we obviously we'll help coach them through that, but that it's if you're wanting to be able to create a book of business that is heavy on referrals and repeats and things like that, that collecting part yourself is really an important key piece to that. Unless you live in a metropolis where there are so many people that, but we still don't even in a metropolis, it's just like, I think that it's just a better way of create.
Relationships, definitely the key there. I just, your microphone is muted. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay, Michelle? I can hear you now. Okay. Relationship and referrals is just everything. It's not just how, for a customer, it's not just how they handle things when things go well, but what happens if a customer gets into a bump in the road? Well, our buy here, pay here customers can get into a bump in the road. And when you have that personal, close relationship with the customer, or at least talking to them, can you hear me okay? I don't know if I lost you. There's a delay. Should I go get my tech guy? Are you there?
Hold on one quick second.
Yeah,
Just
hold
one
on.
quick second. Stay there.
Okay.
Okay, stay there.
You want
Okay.
to remove us from the stream and come back in?
Now you can hear us? Okay.
I
I don't
hear
know
you
what.
now. I can hear you now.
Yeah. We are hearing Karen fine. I missed everything you were saying though, because it sounds like it was, hi, Karen, you're running the show right now. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
So we
the
talked
Karen Burnett show.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's like, all,
Yeah.
like Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
Really close. Do you sing and dance?
I
And
know.
do
I've been called Carol Burnett. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Very good. Everyone else heard what it was that you were explaining about the collecting yourself part.
Okay. So yeah, when a
yes.
customer runs into a bump in the road, I mean, it's really similar to if I'm working with a dealership client for a while and things go wrong. A good relationship is when you can work those things out when there's a bump in the road. And that's the long-term success that I like to see. And that's the beauty in the bump in the road when a customer has it, and you can really help that customer. That happy customer is usually, wow, they really helped me through it, and they're a loud advocate for that dealership.
Yeah, we call
Absolutely.
that relationship equity, meaning, you've got some level of relationship with the customer. And so now we're able to navigate those hiccups much more successfully. So kind of a tangent. I know it's been months ago. I did a poll on Facebook and you may have responded to it at the time, but I wonder what your perspective is. I could probably guess. Who would you say has a greater chance of success in collecting a buy here, pay here contract? Let's just pick a 3-year note. Who would you say has a better chance of collecting that account all the way to maturity? A third party finance company or a dealer who lives in the community? Who would you guess would have a better chance of reaching the end?
Well, I'm going to say a dealership that lives in the community.
Yeah.
And I think that also depends on whether or not they are using effective methods to be able to collect. But I think
And
that
legal methods. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
collect.
not everybody should collect. I can
I can say that too. Yeah.
Well, and that's, you can have a dealer that maybe is not the best person to do collecting, but they can hire someone that is. And
But they got to be able to teach them the right
principles,
policies and all those kind of things.
Right.
So yeah, I think, you're right, Karen. I think obviously practices vary from operation to operation and they need to be compliant. I think one of the other things that we see is that dealers who are early stage and looking to source money, especially if you're looking to get some sourcing on capital from somebody who's going to allow you to collect, then you need to make sure and take good care of your bank accounts. You need to make sure, and we don't want to see, we would be recommending dealers, make sure that you have ample funding, your own money, to be able to manage your bank accounts and stay ahead of that, because that's among the things that would be, looked at. If somebody's going to provide funding to you and allow you to collect, they need to know that you can manage your bank accounts.
Right.
Right. It's another thing that we would urge early stage dealers to just be really cognizant of and be hyper aware of that, because it can come into play in that funding stage.
And I think a lot of business self-employed kind of business owners kind of get confused between personal and business accounts. And you really can't do that if you're being audited from a capital side or other things. But just really making sure that you're keeping that clean and paying attention to those accounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead, Karen.
I think our industry is pretty forgiving too. I think you can make a lot of mistakes along the road and still, you stay on top of training and experience will get you there. So not all mistakes in buy here, pay here are fatal.
They can be costly,
They
but they're not
can be
fatal.
costly, but they can be corrected too. And finding somebody that'll work with you is a good place to start.
Absolutely. One of the things when you say they can be corrected is part of the whole funding thing, especially when you're getting outside capital, is to make sure that you allow yourself enough runway for a mistake. And one of the things that we've talked about and we've talked to other dealers about is just a really good rule of thumb. If you can double your charge-offs and still keep above water, then you're funding that you're in a pretty good place for how much you are leveraged if you can do that.
Again, I am nodding and cheering you on when I watch you, because you are a great on the nose resource and speak the truth.
Thanks.
We try. We're certainly sharing what we have
Yeah.
observed, you know, what we
Yeah.
see out there in the industry. And so we're always just trying to help dealers, you know, get in a place where they can access the funding. One of the other things that's come up more recently, Karen, is that we, you know, when working with some of the capital providers and trying to introduce them to dealers and working through how do we get from A to B and B to C, you know, on the money, is we see that sometimes the funding providers are looking for a certain loan structure, maybe within a certain, you know, profile of cost to car, contract size, whatever term of loan. But I'm thinking from my past conversations with you at SDA doesn't really determine a lot of that. They probably have maximum. Do you have maximum loan amounts per contract or something like that? Like, what would you have limitations on contract length, mileage on the car, or any of those kind of things that we need to know about?
No, nothing to do with mileage on the car. Age of the vehicle, they like to see 15 years or newer. That's really it.
That's kind of standard.
Full-size trucks, 20 years or newer. But you said, what were you just saying? Now I'm getting...
just like term of loan or any of the other parameters.
Term of the loan. Okay. So the way SDA does it, because again, I cannot emphasize this enough, and I know you know it, what works for one dealer in Kentucky is completely different than Hawaii. I've got a client in Hawaii, and it's pretty cool because, yeah, his clients can't, they're on an island. He's going to find them. He does quite well, but it just looks different in different places. And sorry, I've got someone mowing my yard right now, so I hope that's not too much noise coming in.
Nope, you're good.
But what the way SDA does is we'll talk and we'll look at the portfolio, but as a lender, we'll probably set a max return in most products at either 30 or 36 months on how you repay us. But your contract length can go beyond that.
Gotcha.
So there's best practices to follow, but there are successful dealers that don't really follow that have lower payments than what I have always been grown up to say you should have. And they continue to be successful.
Right. So I just met with a dealer yesterday by phone, and I can share with you that one of the things that happened is the dealer was kind of running through their business model and how they were choosing to do it, and they were funding the deals themselves, and it had a handful of contracts, but as they're describing their business model and their pricing model in particular, I said, well, I'm happy to help you and work with you to source capital, but I have to know first, are you open to adjusting the business model? Because I'm not sure that the business model you've chosen now might work for you, but I'm not sure it's going to work for your lender. And so it's like, I often say in working with clients and consulting, I'll say, sometimes at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you want to do, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer, or what I might want to do. It's what the funding source is willing to do is going to dictate a lot of what we, choose to do in terms of funding our business and the business model that we choose. So that's kind of why I'm drilling down to, loan structure and some of those particulars. But you guys don't have a lot of things that you stipulate that you require that the dealer do. You're allowing the dealer to be the dealer. And create the kind of contracts that work for them. And then you're just trying to support them with funding. And so there's just going to be a qualification process, of course, but you can get involved pretty early.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say a good early point would be 15 to 20 contracts that they've already funded. So that I can see there's experience in collecting. I can see the background. This is obvious, but I'm not successful unless they're successful. So if I'm not going to be a good fit for somebody, I will let them know, this is going to take a little more of your capital here because I want you to retain equity. And,
I like that.
We might need to relook at your growth projections if if I'm funding at a certain level, I want you to be able to own some contracts yourself.
Sure. Good.
Makes sense.
Well, we probably, I don't have any other questions. We just talk all day.
What do you
about
want to talk
capital
about?
stuff. Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like that you want to express and let dealers know out there?
Well,
before we-
one of the things that is really incredible, I'm going to plug SDA for a second, is 33 years. That's pretty impressive for a buy here, pay here capital lender to stay with in the industry with a reputation and being able to help. There's a lot of success stories out there. So, I'd say ask the right questions to a lender and be comfortable with who you work with. And, what works for you now may be different 6 years from now or 6 months from now, but be able to have that open and honest communication of, well, what happens if this? And, what have other dealers done? So
I would say that capital providers are probably, of any of the vendors in the space, are the ones that you want to have the best relationship with. your capital
and your
providers
client's lawyer.
and your client's lawyer. Yeah. No, but just having a really good relationship with them, open communication that you can work with them, because of any of the vendors in the space, your capital providers you're going to have a lot more interaction with them than with any of the other ones that you have, once you figure out how to do the stuff.
and with SDA, and I'll talk about this next Wednesday, it's good to establish that relationship that I have with a dealer, but then stay off the radar. You don't want to be the problem child. Do what you say you're going to do, and just keep that contact and that communication going.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yep. Karen, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you
for having me so much.
You're
big
welcome.
fan, and I'm looking forward to March, or is it April? March 31st.
March 31st, March 30th. It's March 30th. It's on a Thursday. Yes, we chose that day too because it doesn't interfere with the college basketball stuff too. So the people that are doing that, it's not going to be like a day that there's any games going on. So, I mean,
keep us in mind. Have you guys done a bracket?
No.
Oh.
We don't watch TV, and we're not really, I think that, we're kind of more football fans.
Even when I watched
college
a lot of basketball, I always did terrible with my brackets anyway. So why bother?
There's really not a science to it. Yeah. My father is winning our bracket right now, and he's 83. So yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well,
you're out in North Carolina. That's a hotbed of college basketball. So
yeah. So again, Karen has been doing the Wisdom Wednesdays on the BHPH boardroom. So if you're not a member of the BHPH boardroom,
ask very nicely.
Amanda Sanchez is the one that is the lead. She's the creator, and there's really good information every Wednesday on in that Facebook group. So if you haven't done it, BHPH boardroom, and then Karen will be doing the Wisdom Wednesdays through the rest of the month. So a couple more left on that, and they're really, really fun. So, hey, Karen, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to the next time we get to see you at a conference.
Thank you so much. Me too, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. If you want to stick around for just a second in the backstage, and once we've closed out, I'd like to chat with you for just a second. All right. Thanks. Okay.
Apologies for the technical
I know.
difficulties.
And I think that on Monday, we'll probably be in an office, so it won't be so echoey, but it's nice when you're in a blank canvas. Everything behind is just like super light and blank canvassy. Okay. Anything else we need to know? I think that we got everything. All right, guys, it's Friday. It's also St. Patrick's Day. So if you don't have any green on, make sure you go get that taken care of. And, we better go throw something on before we head out, because there might be some middle school student that sees us and gives us a good pinch. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you on Monday,
See you
where we'll
Monday.
be doing dealer profiles again. We'll
Thanks, folks.
chat with you
Have a
guys
good one.
later.
See ya.
Thanks.